All right, how's everybody doing? My name is Alan Roberts. Welcome to another episode of Alan Roberts Uncensored. It is where we are having the conversations that normally get banned anywhere else. I figured that even if it would result in me losing the Spotify and the YouTube channel that's connected with this, which I'm expecting to be gone in just a day or two, or even the Twitter that's connected with this, which you can find at DMFingCOO right here. You can follow me on Instagram under that moniker also. I am just Alan Roberts when I talk about health and fitness on YouTube. But I figured we needed to start having very real conversations in our world. And today, I'm very honored to have Heavy Duty Hulk with me. How you doing, man? Want to tell people about yourself, where they can find you?
People can find me on Twitter at Heavy Duty Hawk. They can find me on Instagram at Heavy Duty Hawk as well. And while they can find me on TikTok under Heavy Duty Hawk because I'm pretty sure I'm a couple posts away from being banned on there.
And I've had like five or six TikTok accounts. And like what normally happens is that I will have a video go viral, and then the channel will start going viral, and then they'll delete me. Like
Yeah,
almost every single time. I've found you like four or five times on there. You know, like I know you've had other channels. You know.
yeah. I've I've had to create like backup accounts because one account would get would get slammed with reports after another to where you can't comment or you can't post for so many days and you know I'm still posting content so I have to like find a have a backup account to migrate to in the
Right.
meantime and then hopefully I can go back to them. Like I said, I've had it. I've had one account on TikTok already banned completely at about 60,000 followers. Um, and the one that's up now I've had since then, and it's over 150,000. But I've already gotten that final warning.
I think they gave a bunch of people a final warning a while ago. Like I know out of no place the channel that I'm using now, which is I think real MFing COO. I don't even know. I don't even keep track. That's how many I've had. But they sent me a final warning where it's like I've only had one video taken down. It was a duet with somebody else, and I find that that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start having conversations with people like you. And for those of you that are watching, I keep trying to find people that disagree with me about shit to talk to me, and none of them will fucking none of them will actually have a conversation with me because I would love to have like a full on conversation about certain things like the Constitution and health, like even about the pandemic. I was a healthcare executive, and I
Oh,
I've been very yeah before all the fitness shit, and
okay.
I've been very open about like my thoughts that the pandemic was just a tool to kind of steal liberty, like rob us of our liberty, you know.
Yeah, right when right. I mean, I was working at a bar in February of 2020 when you know they were supposed to have like March Madness and stuff like that happening, and all of a sudden I'm seeing it being canceled left and right. I'm like, what is going on? That's like it's. I'm like, it's not that serious, but um, right when everything shut down, I knew that something was off because it's like when I think it was like I don't know maybe 20 maybe it was like I'm gonna say 2008 or I'm sorry 2007 or 2008 when the swine flu
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
that killed more people than COVID and we didn't shut down at all. I was living in Birmingham. We didn't shut down at all. Honestly, you barely heard about it.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but more people were hospitalized for the 2017 2018 flu in a 4 month period of time than all of 2020 for COVID. Like, it was a rather like the whole it was made in a lab thing. That was honestly one
Yes,
of the things. That was one of the. I mean, it's very clear that that's what happened. But
yes,
I was having a hard time believing it because I was like, if they would have made it in a lab, they would have made it more effective. You know what I mean? Like
right.
it wouldn't have needed as big as a publicist. You know, like because it's
That's exactly. That's the part that blows my mind because it was just And then of course when they started reporting the numbers didn't seem right. The numbers weren't correct. Um, because I live here in Nashville, and when they looked at like the number of cases, you know, even though the suburban, the surrounding areas had, smaller numbers, there was a big jump when you come into, Davidson County where Nashville is. There was like it was almost two. I mean, it can make sense to a certain number, but like when you go from, a city like Murfreesboro having, you know, 500 some cases, and then Jefferson County jumping up to like 15,000, it was like, whoa, there's something not right with this. Like, that's a huge jump. Like that's that,
Yeah.
and then of course you start hearing about how flu took a year off, the
Hmm.
cold took a year off, and it's like, well, how many of these cases were actually flu? And I'll share something with you. I've shared this story a few times, but one of my good friends used to work at a tactical store called 511,
Yeah.
and I went to visit him one day to get some stuff for a job, and he had told me that, he had spoken, we had talked about COVID, and he was in the same narrative I was. Like there was something not right. It just seems like there's a alternative motive to COVID, which we at the time didn't see until about when everything started. Well, when Trump said he was opening everything up, and all these governors decided to drag their feet on it. And he told me he had talked to an EMT who had came in and got some stuff, but he had basically told my friend that he was actually resigning. And he was like, well, why? He's like, well, he said, this morning we had a 911 call, which was a heart attack, and saved the guy's life, you know, the hospital
Right.
just to check him out, make sure there weren't any more issues. And then when they checked him out, they asked the guy like a question, saying that had he experienced any coughing, and the guy said a little bit, yeah. And then when the EMT went to do their report, stating that the guy had a heart attack, they said that they did not want him to be listed as a heart attack. They wanted him to be listed as a COVID patient.
Yeah, because they get money from it.
I'm sorry. Right, right. And the EMT was like, no, like, we were on a 911 call. We went to save this man's life. You want me to list him as a COVID case? And they kept him hospitalized.
That's sad. That's the shit. Like from working in healthcare, I knew like it's already very corrupt. The
Yes.
pharmaceutical industry basically runs the healthcare industry, right? And the second they started saying like we'll give you $40,000 for somebody going on a ventilator, I'm like, there's gonna be a lot of fucking people on ventilators. Like, and it turns out that was actually the wrong move. I think it was a tool used to. I mean, people can talk about the whole Great Reset thing, but it was definitely a tool for power. Like, at no point in time, because I run it under the kind of moniker that at no point in time is there a pause switch on the Constitution. The Constitution of the United States was written during a smallpox fucking epidemic. Like,
Yeah,
and I just
exactly.
I mean. That's where Trump actually let me down. Like where I was just like, why are you saying 50? Like at some point in time, they should have been like, we can ask the people to stay home. We can maybe talk to them about staying home. We can tell them the dangers and then let them decide. But to tell people like to close businesses down, like, and I granted that was a lot of that was out of his power, but we should have been like anybody and anybody in office that was in office that is in office right now that was even humoring us in that kind of let us down when it comes to our rights. I think that's been eroding for quite a while when you look at
Well,
it. Go ahead.
what I was going to jump in and say was that you have to keep in mind that even though Trump was in office, he had a house full of Democrats,
Yep.
and they were all but trying to pump the brakes on anything he was trying to do, especially Pelosi. I mean,
Yeah.
you remember the back and forth they constantly had, She'll say one thing, he'll sit there and reply to something that she said that's that's not right. And she didn't like being called out like that quite often. Like I said, the house was full of Democrats, and it's
Yeah.
hard to do. I mean, you see what's happening now. House full of Democrats. They've done probably more damage to this country than Biden has by himself, and that's a hard thing to
Oh my
say.
God, yeah.
And
I don't.
that's a hard thing to say. That's a hard thing to say right now because Biden's done some fucked up shit. But that house has done way more
See,
damage.
I'm under the school of thought that Biden actually hasn't done much. His handlers have definitely done a lot of shit. Biden
Right.
is what Biden is what Biden is. Biden is
Right.
a historic racist who has gotten
No.
rich in office, who now is very obviously and clearly cognitively impaired. Like that's why he can't control the shit he says. Like, could you imagine being his handler? Like the "you ain't black" comment, like to a black man on fucking live fucking interview. I was just
Yes.
like, that is the most racist shit I've heard a politician say in a long time. And then I had to think back, and I was like, oh, the last time I heard somebody say something that racist was Joe Biden. You know, like I mean,
Hmm.
like I find it amazing too, where we're a staying society, and I thought you'd have a unique perspective on this because you are like the epitome of what the Democrats actually hate. Like you're a weightlifting, muscular black man who is a conservative, right? So you are literally everything they fucking hate because no matter what they say, like they can say that they're for racial equality and all like that as long as you believe in like you do what they say. The second that
Right.
any minority doesn't fall in line, they're demonized and all like that. Can you give me your perspective on what this has been like as like because you were definitely what would be listed as toxically masculine too. Like you're like what 6 something 300 and some pounds. So I mean it's not like you're a
Yes.
small man, you know?
Well, it's it's because that I don't fall in line,
Mm-hmm.
okay, with the typical mindset of someone like myself that's considered a minority. Um, I think for myself, I see right and wrong, okay. Yeah, emotions come into it, but emotional emotions aren't logical, so you kind of have to think through that shit and just see like, hey, this is not right at all. But you know, and also the other thing that like gets my attention is when you're being pushed to believe something,
Mm-hmm.
that makes me want to question it even more because I'm like,
Right.
wait, why are we pushing so hard to believe that, for instance, that Trump was racist when you really can't find much to, as far as evidence wise, to provide that he actually said anything derogatory as far as race. Nothing like Biden, where you can just go on YouTube and pull up a video of him saying some racist shit. It's that easy, okay? And that's that. When I start seeing that narrative being pushed so hard, like the whole mask deal, the
Mm-hmm.
vaccines, that was all being pushed very hard. And I'm thinking to myself, even when the mask was like a thing, it was like, why are we pushing so hard for a mask? And
Yeah.
then you start doing the research, and I started doing the research and realized that the virus could still penetrate a mask.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so what's this really? Again, this is where my thought process goes, and it generally what it comes down to is that what the left is promoting so hard is that you have to believe this way or you're wrong.
Yeah.
And then if you
There's no
choose it,
nuance.
right. If you choose to think that way, then they instantly demonize you. I mean, uh, I had somebody on Twitter respond to something I said yesterday, and they were like, "Well, if I was, it's like, well, if I said that, I'd be called a racist." And I responded back, "It's like, well, I've been saying stuff like this, and I've been called different names, so it really doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
you know."
You know, I
I mean,
wonder, like the. I don't really think I agree with you. I don't really think it was like it's anything more than they wanted to kind of condition people to fall in lockstep. You know,
Yes.
that way people just think like, well, the government has my best interest at heart. Like, I cannot believe that how these people that because at one point I'm a centrist. I'm not really a fucking conservative or Republican. I'm more of a libertarian than anything, right? I can't
Right.
believe how quickly the Democrats give up on their shit. Like, I mean, if you want to take for a perfect example, it's all LGBTQ all the time. Like it's we're even going to marginalize women to the point where if you say that a man can't be a real woman, that you are somehow a bigot, even though biology and reality, as I put down here, reality exists. You know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, like we're so for the LGBT community, but these are the same people that are literally pushing us to try to do business with Saudi Arabia and pushing us to do business with Ukraine. Both of these places, like in the Ukraine, they can't get married. Like there's no gay marriage. They're not they won't recognize couples. In Saudi Arabia, they kill gay people. I mean, they actually kill them. And I just find it to be so egregiously hypocritical that's another reason why they lost me. So like
It's
if you don't
let me.
if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you're not black. But if you vote for somebody else, you're a coon. Like how the fuck did we ever get there? Like they actually have derogatory names for black people.
Yes, I've
Like
been
I
called
just
that.
don't understand that.
Hey, you were talking about how Democrats would, you know, uh, they changed lanes because it wasn't but 2 years ago it was all Black Lives Matter,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the train that was the train that they were on. They pushed it, and so soon as they started being exposed, you notice they talked about them way less than they did 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Black Lives
Like,
Matter is literally something they take off the shelf every couple of years.
yeah, it's an organization that pays money to Democrats,
Yeah,
and
it's a,
and the fact that but back to what you were saying is that they started on that for a while right before the 2020 election. Well, it's 2 years later. They're on the LGBTQ whatever it is train, and it's right before midterms.
yeah. They got to find a way to somehow demonize people, even though what people don't get, it's like such a complete marginalization of shit. Like most gay people I know can't stand some of the shit that's going on because like they're just like I just
No,
want to live my motherfucking life, you know?
yeah, I said I follow a conservative that is gay, and he gets messages all the time from people saying, "No, this is not what we do. Like, no, this is no, we." And it's basically just like with Black Lives Matter because at one point they were a well-meaning organization. Then they got hijacked by the left, and now it's
Yeah,
completely it's what it is now. And it's the same thing with the LGBTQ thing. It's been hijacked
yeah.
by the left,
And
and
I
they
find
keep
I find
doing
stuff like that
this
horrible.
just to try. Yeah, it.
Yeah,
But that's just how. But again, it goes right back to it goes to something that is beyond politics. That is beyond. It goes deeper than this. Okay, because the fact that this same thing is happening again and people are still falling for it means the problem is not typically with Democrats or the left. It's something else because we keep falling like people keep falling for the same shit.
yeah.
Okay, I mean every election up until well might be for the next one, I don't know, but every election they try to you know get votes from the Hispanic community, from the black community, every election. So they spur up some shit to get people to fall in line. And while over the years they've gotten more and more sneaky with their shit to the point where when you find out what really happened, you realize, oh, this wasn't what we thought it was. This wasn't like the whole George Floyd thing.
Yeah. Whoa, he just fell off. So I hope everything's okay. I'm going to wait to see if he chimes back in a little bit. I do know he was driving. He might have hit a spot, but what he was. I've been very interested to have the conversation with him so far, basically about this different perspective. And again, for those of you that are wondering, you can follow me. If there are those of you watching live on Twitter, or watching live on the YouTube channel that's undoubtedly going to get taken down. You can follow this at Alan Roberts Uncensored on Spotify. As a matter of fact, I will put the link up for all of you to get to. Give me 1 second. And here is the link for everybody. So I hope that this didn't fall off, and to the point where we can't recover. I'm going to give it another minute or two, but if he can't pop back on for whatever reason, I will end this, and we'll try to have this conversation again at some other point in time. I'm also probably do a few roundtables, basically, a few having multiple people on. And I think that would be an interesting take. And if anybody that's watching this, reach out to us and let us know who you'd like this to have on. Oh, here he is.
All right, lost you for a second.
Yeah, there you are.
God bless. I lost my train of thought.
so with that, I mean, I think we can kind of switch up a little bit.
Okay.
Because I found you on TikTok, right? And the one thing that I've really noticed about TikTok, because I don't take it seriously. I really don't take TikTok that seriously.
I don't either.
Because they obviously have an agenda where I have had people send me literally make death threat videos about me on that app, about me saying hey, you can't be fat and healthy. You know what I mean? Shit like that.
Whoa. So you got a threat because someone says that it's okay?
Years ago. Yeah. For years I've been getting them, but I mean, I've had people make videos about it, recently. I did also, there's that one dude on there, the Modern Warrior guy. I made a video for the Hey Colonizer guy. And I was like, hey, Grifter. This was like 2 years ago, because I saw through his bullshit. I knew he was going to be what he is. He's some dude making money off of a persona, and also probably trying to get laid in the same time. It turns out he's been that's what he was doing, And I made a video called, I said, hey Grifter, how you doing? Because I mean, this is obviously a grift. You're obviously playing a character. He talks all Billy Badass. He had that one. He was like, I don't move for white people on the street. And I was like, motherfucker, you wouldn't have to. It wouldn't be an option if I'll stay on my side. I'm always courteous, but if you think you're not going to move out of my way, you're a fucking idiot, But
I agree. I thought that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Why do you think they lean so far? Why do you think they lean so far to people like him? It's obviously hate. He's a hateful man. He spews racism.
Well, TikTok. For one, I don't take it seriously either. I go on there just to piss people off. So, but at the same time, though, the reason why is mostly because if you've noticed, anytime you try to post anything remotely truth, as far as or anything that's remotely truth-wise, it gets reported, it gets pulled, and if anything else, you'll get your account banned or locked for so many days. But they cater to weak-minded people, and that's what I was going into if I got cut off. Is that you have people, and this is literally generally this is why I think TikTok is literally a very toxic app, because you spend your time reacting to things. You spend your time not necessarily actually having a conversation with somebody without some sort of hatred attached to it. And if you're controlled by your emotions all the time, you're mentally are going to be a weak person. They love that. That gets attention. That gets views. That gets, for whatever it's worth, it does. any sort of clout that somebody can ride off of you, they gonna just post it. It can get 2 million views. They can insult the hell out of you. It'll never get pulled. But
Mm-hmm.
the moment you try to respond, the moment you try to actually show some backbone and stand up for yourself, oh, it'll get pulled.
Yeah. I
It'll
mean,
get it'll
I've
get
noticed that
reported.
multiple times. Like where it's like, you know,
I've done it too.
even yeah,
I've done it too. Uh, Officer Nate. I'm pretty sure you heard of him.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. We actually, the first time we corresponded was that there was a video on TikTok of somebody responding to a video of his, and it was just maybe a month or so after he got, not fired but terminated from his job uh, because he was roasting LeBron James, which was fucking awesome. Um,
Yeah.
and I responded to her video pretty much as somebody was calling her a clown. Like I said, I was on there just to piss people off. And this has happened. She basically has 1.2 million followers. She sent them all after me, like just stormed my account. Okay, the whole
Is it Aunt
idea was
Karen?
yes, that was her name. See, I
Yeah.
don't even remember her name until you said something. Um,
Yeah.
Stormed my account, and within probably 2 or 3 days, I had several videos removed.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm pretty sure you're familiar on TikTok. Once you have so many videos removed at once, they
Mm-hmm.
suspend your account for a certain number of days, where you can't
Right.
comment, you can't post, you can't do anything. And then they really keep coming because they'll keep commenting, they'll keep doing whatever. It's just a complete storming of your account, where they can constantly keep reporting your shit and constantly keep putting you in suspension to the point where you're booted.
Yep. I'm very familiar
So,
with that.
but when I look at like all her followers and what they were doing, and they're coming in and they're just calling me all sorts of names and everything. That's just what that app panders to.
Mm-hmm.
They want people to be in their emotions, in their feelings, to be so emotional to where they're blinded.
Yeah. See, I don't know.
Uh,
I don't even know how old you are, but I have this like theory that the problem with people being like talking that shit online is one of the reasons why that's like weakness. You know what I mean? Like
Goodness.
that breeds weakness. Because I mean, I grew up in an era where if you wanted to talk shit to somebody, you did it to their face. We still did. Like that's why I talk the way I talk. Like I always tell people like people take how I talk so seriously when this is how me and my friends used to sit around drinking beer and talk to each other. Like we used to just, I mean,
Exactly.
I've been called worse shit by my best friends and then fucking anything that anybody's ever called me, like online, like that's why I don't let it bother me. But there was always that thing when I was growing up where, you talk shit, you might get your ass kicked. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's, people still
That's how it
did.
was growing up. That's how it was growing up. When I was growing up, I mean, if you had a problem with
Yeah.
somebody, you talking shit was the last thing you wanted to do, because if it gets out and it comes back, they're gonna come to you and say, "I heard you was talking shit about me. You want to do something about it?" That comes straight to your face about it.
Yeah,
You know,
now these folks get to just hide behind their keyboard. Like I have a big theory that a lot of the reason why this was able to take hold, like everything with 2020, like I my biggest thing, like when they said 15 days to slow the spread, I was like, well, they can't tell us to do that. People aren't going to fucking do that, and people just sat the fuck down and did it. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with you people? Like
that
they don't even get to tell us that. It's not even in their they don't even have the authority they don't have the authority to pause the Constitution, right? And then
now keep in mind.
people
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Keep in mind when COVID came out, nobody knew what it really was.
Yeah.
Okay, until until one when the lockdowns ended and these governors kept dragging their feet. That's when people started realizing, okay, why are they still keeping us locked down when the president of the United States says go ahead and open up? The second
Yeah.
thing that happened was fucking Fauci going back and forth on his bullshit.
Yeah.
1 minute he says max lockdowns were useless, then 3 weeks later, oh well. lockdowns are mandatory to control and contain the spread. People start picking up on that back and forth shit. They're like, what is he saying? Like, is he saying it's okay and not okay? And that's when you realize you start to get played. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, no one knew about the virus, but the mistake they made was people sat at home and the people who really was thinking about it, like myself, started realizing, okay, there's something not right about all of this. Okay.
Right.
Like, why is Fauci on fucking TV like he's a reality TV star? Okay. Why
Mm-hmm.
is all these governors taking it, just eating up everything he's saying? But I'm like, when you remember when crap, you remember hydroxychloroquine is the name.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you remember when there was a group of doctors when they actually came out and they were trying to provide a solution to the problem, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you should be doing. You should be providing a solution to the problem so people can go on with their lives. Facebook, Instagram, all social media shut down wherever that video got put up at.
Which is crazy.
Okay, they shut it down because, and then if you try to post it on Instagram, you had this little red message at the bottom of it saying, "Oh, fact checker says hydroxychloroquine is not a cure for COVID."
Right.
And I'm like, it's social media.
Yeah.
Like, why are you controlling what some people are saying about something when a month and a half later you have a Facebook live video in Minneapolis, Minnesota, when a riots popped off of a man getting murdered on live video?
Yeah. Oh, there's that. Like, so we're supposed to believe that any mention of anything negative against hydroxychloroquine, the vaccines, or anything like that, and anything positive about hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin, anything negative about the vaccine, or saying that, like, dude, I've had videos taken down for saying that it's a cold. Like, it may be a bad cold for some people, but it's a cold. Like, that's a factual statement. It's a coronavirus. It's a fucking cold. You know what I mean? Like, it may be a bad cold, but it's a cold. I've had videos taken down for that. So they can find every instance of that. But Facebook is one of the, like a huge portion of the child sex trafficking in the world happens via Facebook. Like,
Yep.
somehow or another, and that's another thing because I'm very critical of our government, Republicans and Democrats. So
Right.
if you know this is happening on Facebook, how are they still functioning? You know what I mean?
Right.
How are we complicit in the trafficking of sex for children? I do have like this almost conspiracy theorist thing, which means it's going to be true in about 6 months. But
Right.
but
90 days.
yeah, 90, yeah, it's moved to 90 days. Sorry, my cat just went crazy. But it's moved to 90 days. But where, if everybody remembers, COVID came out like 2 months after Epstein killed himself, quote unquote.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, if anybody believes that there's not some sort of coincidence with that, when even like we literally just got to watch Johnny Depp. Like, I've seen pictures of Amber Heard's shit on Johnny Depp's bed, and I've heard every intricate thing about their fucking relationship, but not one name from the Ghislaine Maxwell trial has been released. How is that? Like, how I'm critical about our government in thinking, like, why do they even think they have the right to withhold it? Like, we as the people paid for this trial. We as the people, because that's truly what it is, have deemed that Ghislaine Maxwell should be in prison for these crimes, right? We have deemed that as people, like our representatives, jury of their trial, we as the people have designated this. How is this information not privy to us? Like we are the ones paying for it. Why has the people that she has been found guilty of selling children to for sex, why have they not been arrested? Like, to me, it's like it's just gotten to the stage where it seems like a lot of this that's going on, like the hyper activeness of like everything's a trauma. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but like at the beginning of almost every month for this entire year, something at the beginning of the month happens that causes shit to go crazy, and it's the news cycle. Well, for a lot of you that may be listening and don't know this, Pfizer was trying to withhold information about the vaccine for 75 years. They didn't want us to they didn't want to release their information for 75 years to the American people.
I remember. Yes.
But a Freedom of Information Act, filing caused them that they had to release it. So on the first of the month, they have to release like anywhere from 50,000 to 90,000 pages of documentation about the trials they've run and everything like that. And every single month that's been released, it has shown like 13% efficacy. After 2 weeks, it's like 1%. A lot of studies are showing that there's negative protection, meaning you're more likely to get COVID if you get the injection versus if you don't. Like if you stay natural and don't get the jab. There's all these things. Not one news media, not one mainstream media outlet is covering the release of Pfizer information about the fucking jab. Not one has covered it. It's insane to me. Not Fox News, not nobody.
And it was and it was the same thing when those emails got leaked. Nothing was
Yeah,
talked about. Those emails got leaked, and nothing was talked about. Even there was like I think it was Project Veritas even dropped it on their social media. Nothing was nothing was talked about, and then they pretty much got hammered.
yeah. And I just find it to be like that's where I'm almost like they have us in lockstep right now, like us as a society. They have people thinking that guys like me and you, way more like you than me, but like toxically masculine men, like we're the problem. But as a newsflash, like to all of you, like weak ass pussies, motherfuckers, and shit like that. If all of a sudden people start coming in and fucking causing shit, who the fuck do you think is going to go fight the war? Not. I can guarantee you that's going to be guys like us. It's. I'm sorry, but the traditional male is what is it, us demonizing the traditional male is a huge portion of this. But societies that do that so they can control the population because
Yes.
we're the type of people that it's hard to control us. Free thinking, physically confident, physically able men who have seen some shit too. Like I'm not some spring chicken. I'm going to be 51 soon. I've seen some shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't believe this bullshit that they're running past. We're the people that that they would depend on to fight a war. Is guys like us and younger guys like us. There's just not a lot of younger guys like us.
Yes.
There's truly not, and I think that's on purpose. They're vilifying strength. They're vilifying free thinking, and they're doing this, and then they're suppressing any aspect of it to a certain degree. Like, dude, I mainly help people lose weight from obese states. Like, I don't train athletes. Like, I just happen to be one. You know what I mean? I say that all the time. But I mean, I'm a best-selling weight loss author, and I myself have lost close to 100 pounds. Because I was a permabulk guy. I was fat. I mean, I had a big stomach, everything. But I just wanted to get healthy for my family and everything like that. So I talk mostly about obesity. Dude, they suppress and delete so much of my shit when I say you can't be fat and healthy. Like they suppress it. It's like they're promoting weakness, illness, and sickness. They're promoting like a femininity for males and gender neutrality for women almost. It's very strange.
And you notice a lot of this started when those lockdowns happened.
Yeah.
When
I mean, it was always simmering, but I come from the school of thought, man. Like I said, I'm 51. I grew up in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, right? And I grew in the 70s and 80s. Racism was still pretty, it was still decently out there. Like all my friends, I was on the track team. I was a track team captain, and all my friends, we would go celebrate a victory or something like that if we want to meet, and we try to go to certain places and there's just a few places where they're like, we don't serve people like you, and we don't serve people like you for hanging out with people like them. Like, what the fuck? This was in the early 80s. So I've seen us evolve into it being like, we were way better, like way better. That's why when everybody's like, we're so racist, like, not like you motherfuckers should have seen a couple decades ago, progress is being made.
Yeah, like my parents grew up around racism. They can tell you what racism is, and they can tell you that these young kids, they don't know nothing about racism. The only thing they do know about is what I call reverse racism, where you're basically hating your own kind.
Oh yeah,
hating your own skin color. I mean, it goes back to what I had mentioned on TikTok, saying that the cause of the rise in obesity, the rise in violence, gun violence,
Mm-hmm.
it's the decline in moral values that a father most likely would provide to their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, even in that instance, it's the decline in moral values. Okay, and it got worse during those lockdowns when people are sitting at home. That's the reason why grocery stores like Walmart and Kroger, they never shut down, but your little mom and pop businesses, they were shut down. Okay,
Yep.
reason why Best Buy was still open, but you had to wear a mask. They wanted you to conform to their rules, and if you break a person down weak enough, they'll do it. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's just a mask, man. It's just a mask. It's only for a little while." I'm like, "Yeah, a little while uh turns into what 6 9 months for most places in the country. To 15 days slow to spread. Come on. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we were lucky here in Tennessee that we were only shut down for 6 to 8 weeks, and the majority of the places around here opened back up. Yeah, you had limited hours on some places, but we were open back up. Can't say the
Mm-hmm.
same for places like Alabama, which they stayed in lockdown a little longer. Can't say the same for places like New Jersey, who stayed in lockdown till damn near election.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Um,
uh,
so you're in Nashville. You're in Nashville, you said, right?
yes.
Man, the next time I roll through to see Mark, we got to get together.
Oh, I know, Mark.
Yeah, yeah. The next
I,
time,
I, I,
he's one of my
I
business
know you.
partners.
It's like okay, okay, yeah, I know Mark. We had actually we had did I did a podcast with him back in 2020. Uh, After I met him at a rally in Franklin in September of 2020.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a good kid.
so yeah, yeah, he is. He's a good dude. But yeah, I mean, I like I said that, and the and if you, I'm sorry if you noticed, TikTok really blew up during the lockdown
Mm-hmm. It really
because
did.
everybody had a phone. Yeah, everybody was on their phone doing videos, responding videos. That blew up, and next thing you know, you know, anytime you try to promote any sort of level of masculinity, it'll
Yep.
get demonized. It'll get shut down. People don't want to hear it. Why? Because where we were, I mean, yeah, it was there, but it just the lockdowns in 2020 magnified it because
Oh,
people are sitting at
absolutely.
home, they're not doing anything, they're not going to the gym, they're not taking their kids out to the park. I mean, you have
That
places
was
in the
another thing
world where,
too. Like closing down gyms and everything like that. Like I know dude, I know tons of people that completely fucked their entire world up. You know what I mean? Like that for a
oh,
lot of people, that was like their sanity already. You know, like a lot of
hmm
people, a lot of dudes, especially dudes I know, fucking they need the fucking gym to like kind of stay right. You know, like
well,
and
this was something else that was never mentioned on media. But in 2020, there was a rise in suicides.
huge rise.
There was a huge rise in suicides. Why? Because churches weren't open, gyms weren't open. So
Hmm.
any sort of social interaction, I mean, the bars on Broadway. Broadway was shut down till about what August of 2020,
Yeah.
maybe September, and I used to work down there. And this the season for the bars down on Broadway starts at Memorial Day and it ends Labor Day. They were shut down through the majority of that. That's pretty much that's their year. They're done.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you got the rest of the year, but those months are gonna be slow months until New Year's. But the mayor here in Nashville shut down Broadway for the majority of the summer. Which bars? That's how they make their money for their year is during that time frame.
Hmm.
Okay. Outside of that, they're in slow months. And uh, again, you shut down those kind of places, any kind of social interaction, any kind of way where you can't interact with other people
Mm-hmm.
without social media. Because on social media, you can control how you interact with other people.
Mm-hmm. That
In
yeah, I mean that's
person, in person, you can't.
right.
In
And
person, you can have those.
social media they control the narrative and conversation.
Right. In person, you can sit there and have a beer with one of your buddies and talk whatever the hell you want, not be censored.
That's right.
They did not
That's
want
right.
people. They did not want people to come together and actually have these conversations like we're having. And
Mm-hmm.
say you get somebody that that believes Trump is racist. And here's a good example. I sat with a college student in last year, and she saw that I was wearing a patriotic hat,
Mm-hmm.
and she immediately assumed that I support Trump, which I did.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes on to ask like, "Hey, well, why is you as a black man supporting Trump?" I was like, "Well, first off, I'm American, not a black man. Okay,
That's
I
right.
was born in this.
That's right.
I, I was born in this country. I was born in Columbus, Ohio, in March 12th, 1980. I was born in this country. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
my parents, one lives in Alabama, one was born in Alabama, one was born in Georgia. I was like, I'm an American. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like second thing, Trump. I was like, you can't find hardly anything that makes him a racist, but you can find absolutely anything on what Joe Biden says in relation to racism, because he's been pretty much racist through his whole political career. And so she brought up like, oh well, what do you think about Trump saying calling the coronavirus a China virus? I'm like, because it came from China.
It came from
I'm
China.
like, it came from China. That's where it came from. I'm like,
That is one of the
that's
things I
a
love about him most. The way he says China. I miss the way he says China. China.
he said China.
China. I miss that.
Yeah. Yeah, and she basically got hung up on that. You know where that came from? Came from fucking mainstream media. So she brought up, well, what do you think about him calling all the BLM people thugs? I'm like, well, what do you call somebody that tortures your business, damages your vehicle, busts into your house? You call them a thug. That's what they were. That's what they were doing. I'm like, I'm like, that doesn't make the man racist. But I was like, but I could tell a lot of your logic comes from watching too much TV,
Mm-hmm.
which is what they wanted you to do during the lockdown. They wanted you to watch TV. They wanted you to look at that little ticker at the bottom, how many cases and all this and that, keep you constantly freaked the fuck out so you can't think clearly, being in
You know the
your
thing.
feelings and your emotion all the time.
The thing is about Trump. I personally think that as like for the economy, best president in probably ever.
Right.
For foreign policy, I did love the world peace. The world peace was very fucking nice. That was very good
We had
because a
no
lot of
war for
people,
4 years.
a lot of people misconstrue guys like you and me as always wanting war. I just want to be prepared for it. I don't want fucking war.
Exactly.
I want you to leave me the fuck alone. I just leave me the fuck alone. If you want to wear a mask, wear your fucking mask. You want to fucking take an experimental therapy, you
I've
fucking
been there
take that
too.
shit. Yeah,
I'm there. Hey, listen, you wear your mask,
yep.
you do your shot, cool. Don't push that shit
Under,
on me.
understand that I'm probably going to laugh at you. That's my right to. I got free speech. You can feel free to be mad at me for laughing at you. I don't give a shit about that neither. But like let's be real. We all have rights. I have a right. You have a right to be offended by me. I don't give a fuck if you're offended though. Like that's the thing. So I like Trump for all that stuff. The 15 days or so the spread was bad, but the one thing I've always fucking found fucked up is how they called him a racist. Like when they were saying he's a racist, they had that one speech where he's talking about Mexican immigrants, calling them all rapists and shit like that. And then when you play the whole speech, you realize that's not what he said. But then when they were saying so that I was like, okay, maybe the Latinas got a problem with him. But I had known Donald Trump when he was like on the, not known him personally, but like I'd watched him since he was on The Apprentice and shit like that. You know what I mean? I watched like the first season of it. But a lot of people seem to have forgotten like his best friend for like 35 fucking years has been Herschel Walker. He's Christian Walker,
Hello.
who is a gay black man. Like I think he's his godfather or something like that. Trump's his godfather.
Yeah.
Like I don't like. I'm pretty sure that if he was a racist, Herschel Walker would probably have said something about it at some
I
point in
agree.
time. You know, like
I
I just
agree.
find that's where I was just like, they're just making shit up. That was my first telling, by the way. Like, oh, they're just making shit up. Like the news is just literally making shit up. Like there's no real stance behind this. Like, and just like what you're saying, like they cannot produce any evidence that Trump is an actual racist. You know?
No, they can't. They'll just regurgitate the same thing over and over again. They'll play, especially on TV, so people get more riled up, people get more
Yep.
offended. They that's all they see and that's all they know.
Yep.
And and like I said, when I sat and talked to this chick, she was mind blown. She was like, "Wow, I mean, you know," and then of course, typical liberal, she just kind of blew me off at that point. But it was just uh, like I basically just told you the truth and you didn't want to hear it, and that's just
Yeah.
the reason why you can never have a conversation with any liberal because you're going to come with too many facts. Okay, you're going to come with
No, I hope
too much.
I really do hope that eventually I can. Like I hope, like, so I'm gonna wrap this up here a little bit, dude, because I got clients I got to get to. But
Fair
one,
enough.
I loved having you on, and I would love to have you on again.
Okay.
But two, uh, like I really hope that somebody that this may like my conversations may even upset. I would love for you to contact me at the MFing COO on Twitter or Instagram, and I would love to have you on because I really like I want to have uncensored conversation. Like I don't want it just to be like one side talking point. I would love to have like
Yes.
real conversation. I would challenge any doctor that is pro-vaccine or any doctor that is pro-lockdown or anything like that. I have like I said, I have a history in public health policy. I helped write some disaster plans, including outbreak plans for a few counties in the United States, along with other doctors.
Hmm.
And I worked as a healthcare executive for quite a while. I am not a doctor, but I would love to have a debate with anybody about any doctor about either even obesity or have a debate with them literally about the mistakes that were made in the last 2 years, 2.5 years. And so I don't want people to think that I just am going to have conversations with people that I obviously agree with, because we obviously agree on almost everything. But
Right.
I want to have real conversation. And not only that, I would like to have a group of people on so we can, again, just like you're talking about, we're missing, like as a society, we're not working out any problems. People are just getting more and more and more upset. We need to have uncensored conversations with both sides and each other to maybe like try to find a middle of the road. Like the alternative for us is not a pretty thing. Like unless we can find a way to start bridging gaps, there's a few people out there, like a lot of these people that think that like they're very much in the right. It's like a lot of people on the very far left, I think that they feel that they're the majority, and they feel that they're like social media and mainstream media has got them all fucked up into thinking that like uh, there's in some way like they're in the majority. When in fact, if
Right.
you would look at things without suppression, you would realize that you're very, very, very much a minority. And those people that think like, well, you know, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do with your guns when the military comes for you? Most people in the military, if the government told them to turn on their own people, would say fuck that shit. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
I mean, like, I don't think that people understand that. Like, I don't know too many military dudes that are gonna be like, okay, yeah, you want me to go round up the guns at, out here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, go house to house and get the guns. They know that wouldn't work out well. You know what I mean? Like,
There's
and
not.
if, and, yeah, and if shit would go down, like the very woke people who like can't defend themselves, this is not going to work out well for you. We need to find a middle of the road because it's going to force people like us to do things we don't want to do, but are willing to do if we have to for our freedom.
Exactly.
And it's going to force us to do things that those people are not going to like, And
Exactly.
I really want everybody to understand, like, this is not meant to like dog anybody or anything like that. Like these conversations that I'm starting to have with people on this channel are literally meant so we can start bridging some gaps, so we can start understanding that while racism exists, we're not a racist country anymore. You know what I mean? Like
No, we're
I
not.
always I always point this out. Like because I get called a racist all the time for saying people are fat and stuff like that. That's somehow racism too. Like when you say, but like what
You're
if my family
racist.
member?
You're racist if you disagree with anybody.
Yeah, yeah. But what happens if my family members like actually fought for freedom for black people? Like what happens if that's my ancestors? Like people don't think like it's like these people don't think shit through. Like they think that every white person's a racist or is from racism when a lot of people fought and died for the freedom of black people. You know what I mean? Like a lot of Republicans. Like and that's history. You know,
Exactly.
and I just really want us to start having these conversations, man. And it's been a pleasure. Can you please tell everybody where they can find you again?
Yes, they can find me on Instagram, Heavy Duty Hawk. They can find me on Facebook. It's Curt Dennis. Um, Pretty obvious the profile picture. They can find me on Twitter, Heavy Duty Hawk, and while they can find me on TikTok under Heavy Duty Hawk.
That is outstanding, man. And like I said, I'd love to have you on again sometime soon. Maybe we'll have a few other people on when we have you. I'll message you here a little later in the day where they can where you can share the link on the podcast we had. But also,
Okay, can't wait.
we'll be in contact every day, and I'll try to set something up for another week or so. Okay.
All right, man.
Outstanding, man. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you. I'm a big fan. It's for real. So,
Likewise, brother. Likewise.
all right, man. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right, no problem.